Another day of testimony by Wang Fuk Court fire survivors who recall waiting for rescue in despair and walking over suspected bodies during escape. In new ways that the Middle East conflict drains the wallet, Cathay Pacific will raise fuel surcharge again next month, while HK Electric warns fuel cost may rise mid-year. And U.S. President Donald Trump sets new date for his trip to meet President Xi Jinping in China, now planned for May 14th to 15th. Good evening. You're watching Cable News. I'm Jeremy Zhu. Residents of Wang Fuk Court continued testifying at the fourth public hearing on the Tai Po fire, recounting how firefighters led them to safety through stairwells strewn with what appeared to be bodies. Some witnesses also said they had seen workers smoking before the tragedy. Quentin Yang reports.
One Thai house resident, Xing Hing, in her mid-80s, recalled being rescued nearly 7 hours after the blaze began. She made about 10 emergency calls before help arrived, staying on the line as the operator reassured that help was coming. When 4 firemen finally reached her flat, they fitted her with an oxygen mask and praised her for using fans and water to block smoke. As they guided her downstairs, she saw a nearby unit burned open and felt intense heat. On the 12th floor, firefighters told her to step over a large doll, which she later realized was likely a body. Reaching the lobby around 9 p.m., Xing said she was deeply moved and called the rescue teams Hong Kong's pride. Another resident, retiree George Chen from the 10th floor, said he and his wife tried to flee but were deterred by thick smoke. They took shelter with a neighbor as flames spread across the scaffold. Chen remembered calling 999 in despair, warning that they would die if rescue did not come in time. When firefighters escorted them out, he recalled feeling intense heat and again stepping over round objects he dared not look at. 2 more residents from Wang Chan house also testified. Echoing Chan's statement, they told the hearing that during the building's maintenance works, they had seen workers smoking, smelled cigarette smoke, or found cigarette butts. They said their complaints to the renovation contractor, Prestige Construction and Engineering, were ignored. Quentin Yang, Cable News.
Cathay Pacific is hitting passengers with another sharp fuel surcharge increase from April as the Middle East conflict keeps jet fuel prices elevated and forces the airline to review levies as frequently as every 2 weeks. Quentin Yang reports.
From next Wednesday, the carrier's surcharge on short-haul tickets will climb from $290 to $389, while medium-haul flights will jump from $541 to $725, and long-haul services will surge from $1,164 to $1,560, an overall rise of about 34%. Cathay said the surcharges, which were already doubled in March, are being pushed higher again as fuel costs remain inflated by supply disruptions and price spikes linked to the war in the Middle East. In a bid to track those swings more closely, the airline will start reviewing its fuel surcharge every 2 weeks instead of monthly, calling the tighter schedule a temporary measure that will be reassessed once the regional situation stabilizes. Quentin Yang, Cable News.
HK Electric customers may see a smaller electricity bill in April after the power supplier reduced its fuel surcharge for the month. The company, however, expects a major rise in the surcharge from mid-year due to the Middle East conflict. HK Electric, which serves Hong Kong Island and Lamma Island, will cut fuel clause charge from 34 cents per unit of electricity to 30.4 cents per unit. Calculating together with the basic tariff, the average net tariff for April will be 158.3 cents per unit, lower than 161.9 cents per unit this month. However, the power firm noted that the adjustment has a deferred effect and has not reflected the recent sharp increase in fuel prices due to the instability in the Middle East. It warned that if the fuel prices stay at high levels or further increase, there will be an unavoidable and significant increase in the fuel surcharge from the middle of the year. The White House said U.S. President Donald Trump will visit China from May 14th to 15th. In Beijing, the foreign ministry said both sides are maintaining contact regarding the visit. Trump announced the dates on social media after delaying the landmark trip amid the war with Iran. The president said officials are finalizing preparations and that he plans to host Xi in Washington, D.C. later this year. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said Xi had understood and accepted the U.S. request to postpone the trip. When asked if the Tehran conflict would end by the time Trump visits China, Leavitt repeated the previous timeline of 4 to 6 weeks. The United States and Iran continue to contradict each other on whether negotiations are underway to end the war. Tehran denied any talks but said it is reviewing a 15-point ceasefire plan from Washington. U.S. President Donald Trump insisted otherwise, saying Iran is afraid to admit it. Cheryl Yun reports.
The latest exchange of rhetoric between Washington and Tehran has offered little clarity on whether talks are underway to end nearly 4 weeks of fighting. In a state television interview, Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi repeated that no negotiations have occurred with the U.S. He said Iran is reviewing a U.S. proposal to end the war conveyed through friendly countries, but stressed that this does not amount to talks, nor does Tehran have any intention of starting them. He added that Washington's talk of negotiations amounts to an admission of defeat. The comment stood in stark contrast to Trump's latest remarks.
They are negotiating, by the way, and they want to make a deal so badly, but they're afraid to say it because they figure they'll be killed by their own people. They're also afraid they'll be killed by us.
Trump has reportedly sent a 15-point proposal to Iran through Pakistan, but the White House declined to disclose specifics of the plan and threatened to escalate its strikes. Iranian media, meanwhile, quoted senior officials saying Tehran responded negatively to the proposal and instead put forward its own 5 conditions for ending the war. CNN reported that the Trump administration is arranging for Vice President J.D. Vance to lead a meeting in Pakistan this weekend to discuss a potential off-ramp to the conflict. Turkey has also emerged as a possible venue. Cheryl Yun, Cable News.
Back to Hong Kong, an explosion followed by a fierce fire broke out at a recycling yard in Tai Po this morning. 3 people suffered serious burns. Authorities said initial findings point to the improper handling of recycled aerosol cans as a possible cause of the blaze. Cheryl Yun has the story.
Flames and thick black smoke billowed high into the air, accompanied by multiple loud explosions. The fire erupted around 11 a.m. at the yard along Tin Kok Road near Feng Yun Road, where a metal sheet structure was quickly engulfed in flames. Eyewitnesses reported hearing repeated loud explosions as the fire intensified, with flames shooting upwards. The Fire Services Department deployed 176 personnel and 2 hose lines. Crews brought the blaze under control after about an hour and a half, and it was fully extinguished by around 12:37 p.m. More than 100 people were evacuated as a precaution, including those on a school trip near the site. Traffic on parts of Tin Kok Road was temporarily disrupted. 3 men suffered serious burns during the blaze and were taken to Prince of Wales Hospital for treatment. Preliminary investigations suggest the fire may have been sparked by improper handling of recycled aerosol cans. Authorities are also examining whether the excessive storage of oxyacetylene cylinders contributed to the explosions and the rapid spread of the fire. Cheryl Yun, Cable News.
Former Taipei Mayor Ko Wen-je has been sentenced to 17 years in prison over bribery and corruption charges linked to a real estate development and 3 other cases. Co-founder of the Taiwan People's Party became the first major opposition leader in the island's history to receive a prison sentence. He was convicted on 4 charges, including bribery, embezzlement, and breach of trust, all of which he had denied. Prosecutors said that during his time as mayor, he accepted bribes to assist the Cathay Pacific City shopping mall project in securing a higher floor area ratio. while also embezzling political contributions to his party. The amount involved exceeded 93 million new Taiwan dollars, or nearly 23 million Hong Kong dollars. Ko can still appeal the ruling, but under electoral rules, his sentence of more than 10 years means he will be banned from running in the 2028 election.
The nation's top legislator Zhao Leji addressed the annual Boao Forum, urging the international community to join forces in stabilizing supply chains amid regional wars. Jamie Liu reports.
The 4-day Boao Forum for Asia Annual Conference 2026 was being held in Hainan Province, attended by top officials of Asian economies, including Chief Executive John Lee and Singaporean Prime Minister Lawrence Wong. Zhao Leji, chairman of the National People's Congress Standing Committee, said geopolitical conflicts and regional wars keep emerging these days. Without naming a particular country, Zhao warned of greater threats from hegemonism and power politics and called for the peaceful resolution of conflicts. He also urged countries to cooperate when facing global challenges and make joint efforts to keep supply chains stable. The senior Beijing official also vowed that China will further expand domestic demand and share the dividends of the country's supersized market of 1.4 billion people and the world's largest, fastest-growing middle-income group. The Boao Forum is an international summit sometimes referred to as Asia's answer to meetings of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Jamie Liu, Cable News.
A California jury has found Meta and YouTube liable for designing addictive social media platforms that harmed young users, marking the first U.S. trial to hold tech giants accountable for their impact on youth mental health. Quentin Yang has more.
The Los Angeles Superior Court jury ruled 10-2 that Meta's Instagram and Google's YouTube intentionally created features that kept users compulsively engaged, such as endless scrolling and algorithm-driven content, without warning of mental health risks. The companies were ordered to pay a combined $6 million, with Meta facing about $4.2 million and Google $1.8 million in compensatory and punitive damages. The case was brought by a 20-year-old woman known as Kaylee, who testified that she began using YouTube at age 6 and Instagram at 9, developing depression, body dysmorphia, and social anxiety linked to social media use. Supporters outside the courthouse held banners naming other young victims of alleged social media addiction. Meta and Google said separately that they disagreed with the verdict and would both appeal. Meta reiterated that youth mental health is a complex issue, not tied to any single app, while Google maintained that YouTube operates as a responsible streaming platform, not a social media company. Snapchat's parent company and TikTok were originally named as co-defendants in the case, but reached settlements with the plaintiff before trial. Legal experts say the verdict could set a powerful precedent for thousands of similar lawsuits now moving through U.S. courts. Quentin Yang, Cable News.
Now let's take a look at the stock market. The Hang Seng Index ended the day down 479 points. Top active stocks of the day. PopMart was down $17.60. Tencent was down $9.90. Kuaishou was down $7.45, and Xiaomi was down 8 cents. Foreign exchange against the Hong Kong dollar, Euro 9.02, the Australian dollar 5.41. Hong Kong's external trade in last month performed better than expected.
In February 2026, the value of total exports and imports both recorded year-on-year increases, rising by 24.7% and 29.9% respectively. The trade deficit stood at $64.2 billion. A government spokesperson said sustained global demand for artificial intelligence-related electronic products has supported Hong Kong's trade performance. However, with geopolitical tensions in the Middle East intensifying, uncertainty over the global economic outlook has risen sharply. Officials stressed they will continue to monitor the developments closely and remain vigilant.
Onto the weather now. Mainly cloudy, 1 or 2 light rain patches overnight. Coastal mist tomorrow morning. Temperatures will range between 23 and 29 degrees. Hot with sunny periods during the day. Light to moderate east to southeasterly winds. That's our news tonight. I'm Jeremy Zhu. Thanks for watching and good night.